Okay, we're going to start section 4.6, the quadratic formula. Here's your joke for the day. What do you get when you cross an algebra class with a prom? The quadratic formula, which is an appropriate fit since we're doing the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by stating what the formula is. So if ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So right there, we have to have it equal to 0. And of course, a cannot equal 0. Then the solutions, or the zeros, whichever one you want to use, are found by the quadratic formula. So to solve for x, you have x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So in order to use this formula, start by finding out what is a, what is b, and what is c. Okay, we're going to start by practicing with example 1. F of x equals 2x squared minus 16x plus 27. So start by identifying a, b, and c. So a is going to be 2, b is negative 16, and c is positive 27. We're going to substitute these three values into the quadratic formula. So we have x equals the opposite of b, so I want positive 16, plus or minus the square root of negative 16 squared minus 4 times my a times my c, all over 2 times a. Now we can simplify a lot of this formula by starting with the value underneath the radical sign. Negative 16 squared is 256. And if you type in your calculator 4 times 2 times 27, you'll get 216. So we have x equals 16 plus or minus the square root of 40. Well, 40 is not a perfect square, but it has factors that are. So we're going to break down 40 into the square root of 4 times 10, all over 4. So the square root of 4 is 2, and 10 is going to stay underneath the square root, and I'm dividing by 4. Okay, so we can simplify by taking 16 divided by 4. I have 4 plus or minus, and then you also need to divide the 2 by the 4. The 4 in the denominator is not underneath a radical, so it cannot be simplified with the 10. So I have 2 over 4, which is just 1/2. We write that as the square root of 10 over 2. That is one way to simplify your answer. Another way would be to look at your numerator of 16 and 2. I'm just going to rewrite it over here. And looking between those two values, we see that they're both divisible by 2, so we can factor out a 2. And then I'll be left with 8 plus or minus the square root of 10. So now the 2 and the 4 can be simplified. And we'll be left with 8 plus or minus the square root of 10 all over 2. So they look different, but these are equivalent forms. Okay, let's try example 2. We have f of x equals 4x squared plus 3x minus 2. So we see a equals 4, b equals 3, and c equals negative 2. So I'm going to substitute those into my formula. We have x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And now we're going to start by simplifying that radicand. So I get negative 3 plus or minus. Well, notice we have 3 squared, so that's going to be 9. Minus 4 times negative 2. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. So you're really going to end up with 4 minus negative 32, which becomes 4 plus 32. And we have 41. All over 8. Okay, well 41 is a prime number. I can't break it down. So my final answer is just negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 41 all over 8. If the book says to go ahead and round your answers, then what you would do is you would type in negative 3 plus the square root of 41, hit enter, and then divide that answer by 8. And you should get approximately 0.43, or 43 hundredths. For your next answer, you have negative 3 minus the square root of 41. Type that in. Take that result divided by 8, and you get approximately negative 1 and 18 hundredths. So good luck with your homework, and let me know if you have questions.